In a small coastal village where the sea met the sky with no clear line between, lived a woman named Aiko. Her days were simple. Sweeping the steps of the shrine, boiling rice, listening to wind through bamboo. But simplicity didn't mean peace. Each morning, Aiko woke with heaviness. She had lost much. Her parents to sickness, her dreams to time. The world moved forward. She stayed still. Her smile was polite, her eyes quiet. Inside, a void. People said she was kind, but she didn't feel kind, just invisible. Every sunset looked the same. Every wave, another reminder that life flowed. And she did not. One evening as dusk fell, Aiko sat alone beneath the prayer tree, its branches heavy with forgotten wishes. A gust of wind scattered a few slips of paper to her feet. She picked one up. It read, "Thank you for the strength I haven't yet earned." She paused. Who writes a thank you before they become strong? The next morning, Aiko returned to the prayer tree. The slip of paper still lingered in her thoughts. It didn't make sense. She had nothing. What was there to thank? She stood beneath the branches and whispered, "Thank you for..." What? Silence. She looked around. Children ran past, laughing. A fisherman hummed as he patched his net. Even the sea seemed to breathe with purpose. Aiko's hands tightened. Why did everyone else seem full while she felt so hollow? That night she couldn't sleep. Her room felt colder, the moonlight harsher. She replayed moments. Meals alone, birthdays forgotten, years of careful effort unnoticed. Gratitude? It felt like a cruel joke. To thank the world for pain, for being left behind. She clenched her jaw. If gratitude was a door, hers was bolted shut. The next day, she didn't visit the tree. She didn't want to feel mocked by paper and wind. She wanted answers, not poetry. And mostly, she wanted to feel something, anything but numb. Later that week, while delivering tea leaves to the market, Aiko noticed an old man carving wood near the well. His hands moved slow, deliberate. She watched as he shaped a tiny bird, smoothing its wings. "Why do you make birds?" she asked. The man looked up, smiled. "To remind people they can still fly." She scoffed. "What have they forgotten how?" He handed her the carving. "Hold it until you remember." Aiko almost laughed, but something in his calm unsettled her. That night, she stared at the wooden bird by her bedside. It had no color, no name, but felt alive. She whispered, "What if I never remember?" But the next morning, she found herself walking toward the prayer tree again, holding the bird in her palm. Not to pray, just to sit, to breathe. Something was shifting, small but real. If something inside you is stirring, softly, quietly, don't ignore it. Subscribe, tap the bell, and let these stories remind you. You still have wings. Days passed. Each morning, Aiko sat under the prayer tree, holding the wooden bird. She still didn't pray. But she began noticing how the light filtered through the leaves, how children tied wishes with both laughter and tears. One day, she picked up a blank slip of paper. No words, just space. Slowly, she wrote, "Thank you for a reason I don't yet understand." She tied it to a branch and left. The next day, she wrote again, not truths, questions. "Thank you for the days I don't feel anything. Thank you for the people I miss." Every note felt less like a lie, more like permission. She was no longer demanding joy. She was inviting it. Each paper, a soft ritual, not to erase pain, but to honor what remained. Even the wind seemed gentler now, as if recognizing her presence. The tree stood the same, but Aiko didn't. With each note, her heart cracked open, not from grief, but from trying again. One morning, she noticed a child reading her notes. He looked confused. "Why thank the world for pain?" he asked. Aiko didn't answer right away. She knelt beside him. "Because pain tells me I'm still here, that I still care." The boy thought, then nodded. "Then I'll write one too." He scribbled, "Thank you for when I fall and someone helps me up." Aiko smiled. Something inside her shifted. Gratitude wasn't about pretending. It was about noticing, choosing to see what still had light. That evening she walked past the fisherman. He waved. "You look lighter." She nodded. "Maybe I am." She didn't feel fixed. She felt real. The ache remained, but so did breath, color, and kindness. Gratitude didn't erase the past, but it allowed her to meet the present. She wasn't chasing joy, she was sitting in it quietly, and for the first time in years, the sea didn't feel so far. It sounded close, familiar, like something waiting to be heard. That week, Aiko began a ritual. Each night before sleep, she wrote a small thank you, not for big things, just what she noticed. Thank you for the sun on my back. Thank you for a smile from a stranger. At first, it felt awkward, but like any rhythm, it grew familiar. The ache in her chest didn't vanish, but it softened, made space for something else, stillness. One evening, she found herself singing while sweeping, just a hum, but it startled her. She hadn't sung in years. Gratitude hadn't changed her life overnight, but it had made her want to participate in it. She now saw beauty not as rare, but as daily, not as perfect, but as present. And every time she wrote, she gave herself permission to feel more, to be soft, to be here. The village hadn't changed, but Aiko had, and somehow that was enough to make the world look different. One morning, as fog clung to the fields, Aiko sat beneath the tree and reread her oldest note. Thank you for a reason I don't yet understand. Her fingers traced the faded ink. She smiled. She had written it in confusion. Now she understood. Gratitude had nothing to do with having and everything to do with being. She had been waiting for something to make life meaningful. But maybe meaning wasn't given. It was noticed, built piece by piece in the quiet moments she once overlooked. She looked up at the sky, gray and still. Yet somehow it felt alive. Around her, villages walked past, unaware of the transformation. But Aiko wasn't the same. She no longer needed to be seen to know she existed. No longer needed perfect days to feel peace. Her heart didn't ache less, it just ached clearer. Gratitude hadn't erased the storm, but it had given her an umbrella. And finally, she was willing to walk in the rain. Weeks later, Aiko passed by the tree and saw dozens of new notes dancing in the breeze. Some were hopeful, some broken, all honest. She smiled, realizing she was part of something larger now, an unseen thread that tied strangers together. Not through answers, but through shared questions. That night, she didn't write a note. She sat in silence, eyes closed, bird in hand. She had no new words, just breath. Just presence, that was enough. A breeze touched her face like a familiar hand. She opened her eyes slowly. The world hadn't changed, but her way of meeting it had. And sometimes, that changes everything. The past still whispered, the future still waited. But for now, she was here, fully, softly, alive. And as the stars rose and the tree rustled behind her, one final thought surfaced, a question as old as time and yet personal as breath. If you wait for life to be perfect before you're grateful, will you ever feel joy at all?